Okay, well, we got a mess on the bench today. Got the bowl fire out because it actually has finally turned cool in Texas. Right now, the thermometer here in the shop is saying it's 59 degrees. Top one says it's 61. The sensor, the indoor and outdoor, is all in the same spot, so a little bit of inaccuracy there or whatever, but it's cold, right? Sort of. Is that cold? Most people are like, that's not even cold, but anyway, it's a whole lot cooler. The humidity's way down. It feels great out here, so it's a good time to sit on the porch and enjoy a couple of wobble pops and while away the evening. So with that, as the evening carries on, it does tend to get a little cooler. I think it got down to 43 last night, which is for us a big deal lately because we've been hitting the 80s lately. It just does not feel like December or whatever, but it's that, what is it, the La Nina that gives you the warm winters, and we definitely are having a very warm winter. So one of the first things here was trying to get this bowl fire running because I've got a few propane heaters. Yeah, I do have propane. Sorry, very sorry. But I've got a Coleman Focus 5. I've got a Mr. Buddy heater, which that's pretty nice. And then I've got also one of those green flat paneled Coleman catalytic heaters. And they all work really pretty well, but when a pound bottle of propane like this nowadays, if you find it at a good deal, is like $3.79 for one of these, and that will last you maybe 2 evenings. Whereas like with this, I can fill this with kerosene for $8.99 a jug, with a 1 gallon jug size, and it'll put out a lot of heat, and they run for a very long time. So I could probably run, I don't know, probably 3 evenings or more on $9 worth of fuel, probably actually 4, I'd probably say, and run a lot longer, so it's a little cheaper to run. So the idea here is to get the bowl fire back running, and it was giving me some trouble. And of course, you know, I tried to light it, and it didn't want to light or anything like that. And I'm like, oh man, what's going on? Well, I ended up looking into the end of the air intake, because this is the air intake for these type of burners, and completely filled with a mud dauber's nest. I mean, absolutely sealed completely over. The bug did a great job, and so I had to pull this apart, rat it out with a rod, soak it in water, throw it in the ultrasonic cleaner and all this other kind of stuff to get it working, and then it worked pretty good. I've got a replacement aftermarket vaporizer here, which I don't like very much. I got it from Korea because that was basically the only place you could get it. And the unfortunate thing with it is that it works pretty good, but the cleaning pricker in there, I have destroyed every single one that they sent me, and I don't know why it doesn't want to line up right with it, but you use it one time and they get completely annihilated. So that's really quite disappointing. The other thing is that the vaporizer is something that it completely screws together from basically brass rod and everything else like that. So what I've done with this, a little tighter than I thought. So the nozzle screws on, this whole tube assembly screws onto this this knurled portion here, and basically it's completely disassemblable and completely rebuildable, which made me feel really good. But the problem is that when you put it together, you have to use muffler cement, and I just recently took the end of this off to take a look at the pricker and change it, and I didn't put any muffler cement on there. So I think what I'm having a problem with is that it is leaking a little bit of fuel out the end of here. So I am going to take this off, and let's see what's the best way. Kind of do it like this, just kind of clamp it down. It's not on there super tight. I mean, it's tight enough, but you do need to have some muffler cement in there for it to really actually hold itself together, because as these things heat cycle, they want to walk out, and when they're doing that, then you get leaks. So that is how that works here. But yeah, I can see that the pricker needle is completely wrecked and folded over. It's very disappointing. So yeah, muffler cement, really handy stuff, not only for sealing up these kind of things, but also if you have a 200A like this, probably one of the best places to use it is on the burner head, burner head, not really burner head, the nozzle that you tie the mantle on. Because what you get there, sometimes those will come off from heat cycling. And the other place that they're really good to put in here, I'll show you this real quick, if this comes off without killing me, is this little U-tube right here. The U-tube is a slip fit. And sometimes if you smell fuel, it's because you have a little bit of a leakage around here. So smearing a little bit of muffler cement there and pushing it back together will get rid of that fuel smell, and then you'll be good to go. So it's pretty handy. Also for Petromax, the nozzle for Petromaxes have a tendency to want to come off also after being heat cycled a few times, and muffler cement absolutely fixes that issue. So anyway, always good to have a little bit of muffler cement on hand if you're playing around with this sort of stuff. Okay, we just get this to go in there. There we go. That's nice. Always, like I said, you know, when you watch this channel, I don't always have a plan, so sometimes you get a little detour. Anyway, so back to this. What we're going to do is that we're going to put a little bit of this muffler cement on here, which is just basically kind of like a clay. And just kind of wipe it there into the threads, like that. Try to keep it out of the fuel system, which I'm doing a very bad job at. Need to get that out because, yeah, I just put a bunch of it in there. So we'll get this out. That's pretty good. Maybe this would be a great job for a Q-tip, but I do not have one on my hands. So anyway, I'm just kind of getting a little bit of paper towel in there just to get that muffler cement out from the inside. I just don't want it in there. But so when you're done, your thread should look pretty much like this, just basically filled in. And then when you screw this on there and it gets heated up, it will seal. So hopefully this will solve my problem of having a little bit of fuel leaking. I thought basically between the where the nozzle screws on and the this is not behaving very nicely. It should. There's probably some residue in there already, and it's just going to fight me a little bit, but that's all right. So we've got a condenser here. Well, if we can get it to grip on it, there we go. Just go ahead and spin that in, and some of it's going to kind of squirt out, and that's okay. But then when you're done, you'll just kind of tighten it down like that, and then that should be it. That should be that part sealed. I was seeing some stuff come out around this way too, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same. Now I know that I've got some muffler cement already in there, but it was old and dry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this part off here. Of course, everything is spinning now. The vaporizer is actually a really heavy, solid brass tube, so you can actually crank down on it fairly well without having to worry about damaging it. Although this one I've taken on and off so many times, I think I'm starting to get some wear on it. But anyway, we're gonna whip this out of here, and then we're gonna throw some more muffler cement in it. Should just come out like that. And here's the Here's the wrecked cleaner. Well, you won't be able to see it, but you gotta trust me, it's in there. But anyway, this whole thing assembles together, and the tips are replaceable. It's a really neat concept on how it's supposed to work, but you know, I have had not very good luck with it, which is really kind of disappointing because I really wanted it to work well. I have a feeling that they're inside of the nozzle, instead of it being kind of conical to guide that needle in there, I think it's just milled flat. And anytime that you try to get it in there, if it doesn't perfectly center up for whatever reason, then you just have a problem with it missing and then getting completely mangled. So anyway, we're going to shove some more of this muffler cement in there. Try again not to get too much in the fuel system, which I seem to be doing a rather poor job of keeping it out of there. Huh, I have a cat that just walked into the shop. Hey, kitty. Well, hope he knows how to get out of here. Okay. Always have a stray come around the holidays, and I guess this is no different. For a second, I thought that was a raccoon. That would have been a little bit bigger problem. But, yeah, we're going to have to make sure that he gets out of here before I close up the shop. Yeah, well, I guess he's right at home, wherever at home happens to be. So, usually the cats around these parts are pretty wary. There's a lot of things out here that want to eat everything. So yeah, usually they kind of stay out of the way. But I don't know where he went. All right, so I guess that's what happens when you leave the door open, right? It's like, look what the cat drew again. Well, alrighty. So we're gonna go ahead and get this kind of tweaked down just a little bit. It's got a Viton seal on it, so you only need to do about maybe a quarter of a turn or something on it. But yeah, probably that's plenty. So that's that. Now we put the preheat cup assembly on there, and then the whole vaporizer assembly. This thing completely comes apart, and so it's not too bad to clean, but mine is a little bit bent. So anyway, we'll see how all that goes. So I am gonna actually start the preheating process here while I am doing the last part of assembling the screwing down these screws in the front, because the preheat on this thing takes a long time. It really does. And so hopefully what we'll get here as a result of this, oh no, it's like I don't want to lose those screws, man. I don't have anything that'll probably fit in there, because these are English manufacturer from a long time ago, so you're never quite sure what exact screw standard they were using. So yeah, you don't want to lose them. Right. Well, I haven't seen him come back out. He must be making himself a home there. So anyway, boy, I hope this works, because it certainly would be nice to have a functioning kerosene heater. So probably see what's going on there a little better if I turn that for you. But yeah, so we've got basically a preheat cup, and actually the metal on the bottom here is already turning red. It's really surprising how good that denature alcohol works. I mean, it gets really quite hot. And so yeah, it works pretty good. On the side here we've got, I know we've discussed this one before, but there's a fuel cap with a pressure relief on here, and then this would be for the pricker, which of course on mine is wrecked, so it doesn't really serve any purpose at the moment. These have a non-return valve at the bottom, so this one still works. It was a little bit stuck, but I gave it an extra push and it popped itself free, so that's great. You can see we're starting to see just a little bit of white vapor coming out of the air intake. And that's basically the kerosene that's vaporizing. And so it's because I have the breather closed so I can kind of tell when things are starting to get hot. So when I start seeing that, I know that it's probably, maybe, safe to start pumping a little bit. These are a little bit tricky to get started. They kind of require a bit of a soft start because there is no positive fuel shutoff on these things. That knob on the back for the pricker does nothing other than push the pricker up and down. It doesn't shut it off. The only way you shut it off is you got to dump the pressure. And if you leave the thing closed after you've released the pressure, what's going to happen is that any changes in atmospheric pressure will force kerosene out of here and make a giant mess. So you have to leave that open all the time. So we're going to give it about 5 to see what happens. We get a little bit of action immediately showing up, which is great. It's exactly what I want to see. Give it 5 more. I'm still seeing a bit of yellow in there. But basically what we want to do right now is that we want to give this enough time to kind of heat up and start heating the vaporizer inside, because the vaporizer is actually inside of a ceramic tube. So you can't really see it, but inside this mesh is a ceramic tube that goes over the vaporizer. And that is what keeps it from getting extreme heat from the burner here. Of course, we've got the alcohol burning off on the bottom still. It's going to take a little while for that to go away, but we'll kind of keep going with this now that we've kind of got a little bit of a head of steam in here. It's looking pretty good. I got a little bit of yellow kind of showing down here, but it's not too bad. But that's actually working pretty nice. So I'm happy with that, and putting the muffler cement on the top of the vaporizer did solve the problem in terms of it leaking fuel, because what was happening is that, let me get a little sort of a pointer here. Well, maybe a pointer that's a little more visible. We'll use this. What was happening is that I was getting fire that was coming out of here, and it was yellow. So we all know the denatured alcohol burns blue, and it burns pretty clean. This was yellow, and it was kind of sooty. And I was like, that's got to be kerosene that's coming out of there. And I was like, well, you know, when I started this the first time, I pulled the trigger a little bit too quick, and I had liquid kerosene coming out of there, which is not what you want. So there was like big yellow flames, and I thought, well, I'd soaked this really good with kerosene, so that's where that was coming from. But the thing is that even after an extended period of running, it was still had yellow flames coming out of there, and that's not what you want. This is actually looking great now, because there are no yellow streamers coming down at all. All you just see is the blue, and you see the red. And we'll pump it some more. I think you can go a little further with it. And I'll give you a close-up look here, what it looks like. So it's hot. I mean, it's really toasty on my fingers, but you can see, you may be able to see, but the flame actually goes down to about right here. But the rest of this is that's the glowing metal there that actually is what is radiating the heat. And boy, it does throw the heat. It works really, really well. And it's actually pretty intense. So it's a really cool thing. And yeah, I'll kind of give you a tour here. Like there's the pricker I was talking about, and then of course the valve, the air relief valve, and then that's this is the air intake. And so that's it. So this is now running again, yay! And we can get back to enjoying our time on the back porch here without freezing to death here, and as some people will be laughing at 60 degrees. Not really freezing. No, not really freezing. Last night it was in the mid 40s and it was cold. I could have used this. But anyway, that is it for this reinstallment of getting this bowl fire running. I really like this thing a lot. It's sometimes just kind of persnickety to get working, but when it does, boy, it really does crank out the heat, and it lasts a long time on not much fuel. So that's it. Until next time, keep them lit.